Everybody, we are back at it again with another video. Again, it's getting dark out, but that's the purpose of this video, because in this video I'm gonna go over how to do a light painting photo shoot. We got my car, which we're not working with tonight. We're gonna be working with Kaale's black Volvo, so that poses more of a challenge for me as a photographer. I like challenges. Light painting a black car can be pretty difficult, but we'll get it figured out. We'll do it. We're gonna me and Kaale are gonna run some errands first, and then we are going to find a dark spot for the light painting session. All right, guys, so we got this really cool like bridge wooden area to work with. This is not where I'm gonna do the light painting, but this is where I'm gonna do part of the photo shoot, because it's really nice and well lit, as you can see. So I'm gonna park up my buddy Kaale now and do the shoot. So we got his car parked up, and then these are my settings for this location. 1.3 second shutter speed, f2.8, ISO 100. So these look like pretty good settings, and then I'll go back in Lightroom and adjust anything I may need to, especially with an 85mm. Get a couple of different distances. So before I was maybe like this far away with the 85mm, and then I backed it up all the way to over here with the 85mm, so you can see the difference. Just gives a nice look to it. I'll post up the pictures in this video to show you a comparison of the two pictures, but yeah, be sure to just do different lengths from the object you're shooting. So we're all set for this spot. Next thing to do is to find a nice, really dark location that's not too well lit, because that's one of the things you need with light painting, is something that's not too well lit, because then you're going to get a lot of light bleed and your shadow will appear in the photo that you're trying to light paint. So preferably like a really dark parking lot, or like maybe a local park that's closed down for the night or something like that, where you have access to the parking lot but it's not lit up, and that's usually a perfect location. So let's see if we can go find one. Really dark spot. It's just a random dead-end street. We got Kaale's car parked up. So I'm gonna show you guys what my settings are on my camera. So here we go. So for light painting, my settings are a 30-second shutter speed, f4.0, with an ISO of 200. You can't really see the car on the camera, but these are the settings I use to do this. And then I'll do a little like time lapse of me actually doing the shoot, and then I'll post those pictures in the video after I edit them. So for my light source for this shoot, I'm just using this tiny little flashlight. It's nothing fancy. I do need to get one of those Amazon light bars for photographers at some point, because that would help a lot with these shoots. You know, 1-2 swipes of the car with that light, it would complete the shoot nice and easy. But with this, it's not a horrible like beginner way of doing it. You could also use your iPhone's light source, which isn't a horrible idea either if you don't want to spend the money for a little flashlight or one of those light wands. But yeah, that's my recommendation for this type of shoot, and let's get to it. So in this part, the reason you see a second bit of light right there is because Kaale helped me get focus on the car. Okay, so I'm going to show you what these pictures should look like after you get them. Should look like something like this if you did it right. I like to sometimes add that little swirl in the background. It just adds a nice little dynamic to the picture. So we're going to do this a couple more times, and then I'm going to pick the best pictures once I edit, and I'll throw them in this video. Okay, so we just finished up with the light painting. I'm gonna go home now and show you kind of my editing process of these photos so you guys can get an idea of how to edit these. Is the picture I decided I'm gonna show you how to edit this. As you can see in my bottom left, there's only 4 pictures I chose from tonight's shoot, but this is the one I'm gonna kind of go over on how to edit. So first thing I always like to start off with is straightening out the picture. So that should be pretty straight right about there. And then I like to crop it down so it's kind of even, so the car's kind of in the middle. So that looks about good right there. So then once I do this, I go into my basic tab and I play around with the exposure, brighten up the exposure a little bit so you can see more of the car. Again, I shot with a black car, so it's harder with black cars, so you gotta bump up these settings more than you would with shooting a lighter color car. So if I move this contrast up, you can see what the contrast does. But for this shoot, I usually bring the contrast a little bit down. I like it right about there. So it lightens up the picture rather than darkens it. If I went the other way with the contrast, as you saw previously, it would have darkened up the photo the way I don't want it to. Highlights, bring that up let's see. Bring it up a tiny bit. Shadows, you want to brings out the details in the car, as you saw. So far my exposure is at plus 1.75. Contrast is negative 44. Highlights are plus 12. Shadows are plus 33. The whites, since I don't want the whites overpowering, doesn't seem to really do much. So, I mean, if I brought it all the way up this way, you can see how it brightens up the lines I purposely put in this picture, which I don't want. So gonna bring that down a little bit. Blacks, gonna bring up the blacks a bit. Brings up a little more detail. Then texture. Let's see. Bring up the texture a little bit, not that high. Maybe like a plus 10 on the texture. Clarity. Bring that up just a bit, not too much. You don't over want to do clarity, because if you overdo it, that's what it's going to look like, and it looks horrible. So we bring that up just a tiny bit. Dehaze. You can do a good amount of dehazing, but probably stick that at a 25. I'm pretty happy with that. And then to check the progress, I usually like to do a left-right split. You can see the before, the after. I'm going to fix this up a bit so the blacks don't look so washed out. Go back into my full image. If you bring up vibrance, you don't want to bring up the vibrance all the way, because then you get all that blue in there. So keep the vibrance at 0. Saturation, you can bring up just a tiny bit. So then with the tone curve, you can do whatever you want with the tone curve. Probably do the tone curve this way. So as you can see, looks pretty good so far. Not too bad, not too bad. So then with the HSL color tab, I can bring down, the yellows, so there's not as many yellows. If you bring that up, you can see in the corner down by the rear wheel, down in this area, the yellows really come up if you do that. So I'm going to bring the yellows down so those aren't so prominent. Bring the greens down, because if you bring the greens up, you can see where the light hits over here. The greens get bumped up too much, so I'm going to bring that down so the greens aren't so prominent as well. Now let's get to the blue. So you can see I bring that like black tone it's supposed to have back by bringing the blue down with the saturation. So I'm going to bring that down. And then if you do aqua, brings down some more blues as well. You see I can bring it up. You can see the color change here, color change in this line. So we're going to bring the aqua down as well. And then I'm going to leave the red and the orange and the red there so you can still see, you know, nice colors. Purple, magenta, you don't have to really play around with. So leave that. Color grading, I don't usually really mess with the color grading. The detail, I'll sharpen up a little bit. And then to see what's masked, what's not, you can click option. And then when you go to masking, it'll tell you what's masked. So I usually mask to the point where it's really just the lines of the car. So you can see now I just really have the nice sharp lines of the car. Gonna bring down the noise. So you can see the noise was reduced. So now it's a nice clean picture. So then I'll leave that. So with the lens correction, I'm going to remove chromatic aberration, enable profile corrections, so that automatically corrects the picture according to the profile of the lens. So as you can see, I was using the Sony full frame 85mm f1.8. Again, the settings I had for this shoot to make sure the car was pretty clear, everything was nice and crispy. My shutter speed was 30 seconds, so I can get, you know, this really nice line you see. My buddy wanted a little design here, so I tried to, you know, do a nice little heart. And then you can see the line follows through. So to do that, like I said, I did the 30-second shutter speed, f4.0, and then ISO of 100, so I don't get too much noise in the post-production. I'm not going to mess with distortion. I'm not going to mess with vignetting. You don't have to touch transform at all. Effects, not really necessary here. And then calibration, I'm not really going to mess with that. So at that, after you get that, let's see. So here you can see the nice before and after. If you guys want to see another version, you know, you can do the top bottom split. You can do the left right. So on the left, here's the original. On the right, here's the post-produced. Then you can go top bottom. I said top bottom split. Let's see. You can do top bottom. I'm pretty happy overall with this. I think it's a good looking picture. Again, everybody's gonna do their editing a little different. So if you like the way this looks, just follow kind of my step-by-step. And then in case for the future I shoot with this car at night and decide to do light painting, I'm going to create this preset and make sure all these are checked. Make sure you don't have transform. If you have a graduated filter, you know, you can decide to create, have the graduated filter as part of this preset, but I didn't have a graduated filter, nor do I have a radial filter. So, I mean, that's not really necessary. So then you can go ahead and create that preset. And now you have that as a preset down here. My two other light painting presets were done based on white cars. So I have this other preset and then this one, but they were both done for white cars and different circumstances. So that's why I decided to go with a completely new preset. And yeah, guys, that's how I did my edit. And then if you want, you can click the L button on your keyboard to see just the picture, to see how it would look, see if you like it. I personally like the way this looks. Alright, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video on how I kind of went over my process of light painting. If you have any suggestions, any constructive criticism you want to give me for the way I edited the picture, feel free to do so. I'm open to any and all comments. That's just personally how I like my pictures to look after light painting. There's many other different ways you can edit it, obviously. But if you liked this, or if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to see more videos similar to this or more of my upcoming videos in general. I have a lot planned, so thanks again for tuning in. And like I said, be sure to smash that subscribe button, comment down below, share this video with anyone who you think would find this video helpful, and continue to stay updated on my videos by hitting that little notification bell. And thanks for everything, guys. See you next time.